All right, good morning, Malik Quincy. Good morning to you, sir. All right, so we'll start. So today we have two major events. Let me say even just one, two major events. Two, yeah, good morning, Madam Manaji. That's ADP non-farm employment change by 2:15 p.m. and ISM services PMI by 4 p.m. Those are the two major events today, and they are all dollar related. The other ones include the speech from President Trump, which will take place by 7 p.m. tonight, and later on in the night, also by 10:30, Bank of Canada Governor Mark Lem will also give a speech. Now, those two for intraday traders, you likely will not be in the market at that point in time. So the focus will be on the 2:15 p.m. and the 4 p.m. ADP non-farm employment change and ISM services PMI. We're going to be looking at the dollar and our position ahead. But then I think the afternoon session will even do more justice because price might have gotten to some levels where we may expect, activity. But nonetheless, I'll still show you my thoughts on those news events. But then I'll just go straight to the chat now because of our time. We're having limited time this morning. Now, from the weekly outlook, there are some of the instruments analyzed that has gone exactly as analyzed, and there are some that are still kind of ranging. There is a couple that also went the other direction altogether. Like on Monday, I remember analyzing CAD JPY, Euro JPY, and I think somebody mentioned the AUD JPY also. CAD JPY has gone, as analyzed. It still has potential to drop further if price is able to break out below this recent support level. At least so far, so good. We've seen a drop to the tune of about 80 about 80 pips on the CAD JPY, and Euro JPY likewise. We've seen a drop to the tune of about 122 pips, and likewise the AUD JPY. All right, AUD JPY also has done a massive drop likewise to the tune of about about 140 pips there about. But then GBP, Euro GBP, I actually give a signal on this one. It hit the stop loss last night. Stop loss was just above that red line at 88200. Price went the other way around. So if you are on that trade, well, sorry, price didn't go our way. Don't worry, there will always be another day to trade. And yeah, that's it on that one. For the others, price has not really gone as anticipated. But then when we see opportunities, we'll definitely let you know about it. Now, today, yesterday afternoon, I also was giving my outlook on the dollar index, but the market ended on a quiet note, and price didn't really trigger in that direction. I said price was trading at a resistance level on the daily time frame for the dollar index, but then price shot up higher, but still within that resistance, that resistance zone, still resistance, still within the resistance. So we anticipate a reversal in the price of the dollar index. So this is still the dollar index on the 1 hour time frame, and we still anticipate a reversal with the rising wedge. We still look forward towards a reversal. So what's going to happen is that today, from the news we're expecting from the US, the ADP non-farm employment change, and the other news, we're still bearish on those two events. So if the data comes out bad for the dollar, that will align the technical with the fundamental, and we'll expect a bearish movement on the dollar. And with that, we can check out for the USD JPY. Now, USD JPY, I said yesterday, were bearish even on 1 hour, and price still dropped. Now, on the 4 hour side, we may still be anticipating a bearish movement, provided the data comes out bad for the dollar. We still have our rising wedge. Every setup is still very much in place. The only thing we're waiting for now is the data in the afternoon from the United States. If it comes out bad for the dollar, we may see a crash on the USD JPY. However, what if the data comes out good for the dollar? That's a possibility. We really don't know the outcome until it happens, but then we can always use our technicals to give us an idea using the higher time frame. Now, if at all the data comes out to be good for the dollar this afternoon, If it comes out good for the dollar, I will encourage you to buy the USD JPY. Overall, the trend is bearish, but peradventure it comes out good, then you can buy the USD JPY. You know the reason why I'm saying that? Reason is this: on the 4 hour time frame, even though the overall trend is bearish, but we'll not neglect the fact that price is, making some lower, sorry, higher lows here, and we have a third higher low. Not only that, we have this higher low is a confluence for a previous resistance turned support. You can see that we have a valid resistance turned support. And if you flip down again, okay, even before we flip down to 1 hour, still on that 4 hour, I'm seeing this is trying to give us what is looking like an inverse head and shoulder, which may trigger up. And we can take that with 1 hour time frame. So this is a 1 hour time frame. So possibly, if the data comes out good for the dollar, price may still go ahead and hit this resistance before eventually, we experience the fall. So if it comes out good for the dollar, please buy the USD JPY. You may just catch some pips to the tune of about some 30 pips. And also possibly if this breaks out before the release of the news, the news is still going to come up from around 2 p.m. thereabout. Let me confirm again. The news will come up by 2:15 p.m., then the second one by 4 p.m. Between now and the afternoon session, if this pattern forms, and it completes, we have a retracement and a breakout. Yes, you may trigger a buy, catch some 30 pips before the news if it happens like that. But for one reason or another, if it doesn't happen like that, if it's the news that triggers it, you can take a buy. Just make sure you are not staying too long, some 20, 30 pips, and you are out. Ultimately it will still sell, but then on the short term, we have a buy setup, and on the longer term, we have a sell setup. And if it comes out that the news is a sell, please also sell. That's a long term direction. So you're free to take the trade based on the outcome of the news. And like I said, if this technical works out before the news, then you can still, take a buy. All right, so we're bullish on the USD JPY on the short term. We're bearish on the longer term. And the NZD USD and the AUD USD, we're looking at a bullish breakout on these two instruments. And this is the NZD USD, price. I've been watching this for some days now. Price has made a series of lower lows and is forming a falling wedge pattern. So it's done a lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. So the next wave of movement, is price going up to hit the trend line up there. And don't forget, RSI already went below 30. It's back to 31 now. So that is telling us we are expecting some slight bullish movement on the NZD USD. All right, so that's a previous support turned resistance. So price may just go to hit this zone here. So we can go to a lower time frame, and that also will be more, in effect, if the data in the afternoon comes out to be good. Sorry, if it comes out to be bad, rather bad for the US dollar. All right, so this is a 1 hour version to this. Be waiting for a breakout to the upside. RSI clearly above 15, and I think We should also wait for MACD to cross above zero. Can be using that as a filter going forward also. So we're bullish on the NZD on 1 hour, and potentially we're expecting price to break out to the tune of about 30 pips, roughly 30 pips we can catch on this. So please watch it closely as the day unfolds. And like I said, the AUD USD likewise is bullish. Now, usually the AUD USD and the NZD USD, they are positively correlated. So they go in the same direction most of the time. So if one is buying, there's a possibility the other one too will likely be buying. Now, for the AUD USD, it's actually at some form of confluence zone. So on the daily time frame, we can see that price is bouncing off some higher low and also a support. So technically, we should look for an upside movement on the AUD USD. So on the 1 hour, all right, this is the 15 minutes time frame. Okay, I'm back to 1 hour. On the 1 hour, there's likelihood of a retracement because of this rejection candle. You may see some retracement before the breakout happens. Now, take note that all these major currency pairs will be more active after release of the news from US in the afternoon. So be very, very cautious with them. Take a lot of caution. RSI needs to be above 50 and possibly MACD above zero. So we are bullish on both the NZD USD and the AUD USD. And finally, we have the NZD CAD. And I'm bullish on that one also. All right, so this is the NZD CAD on the weekly time frame. You can see that price is currently touching a support, a very strong support level on the weekly time frame. So technically, we'll be looking for an upside movement on a lower time frame. So the weekly just gives us a valid point to analyze to get direction. Entry will be made on a lower time frame, like 1 hour. Yeah, actually, I'm not seeing anywhere to put a trend line, but then I'm seeing the formation of an inverse head and shoulder pattern. It's actually clear on the 4 hour time frame. It's forming shoulder and a breakout. Let me check my line chart also. You can see the line chart is very clear about it. This is a shoulder, a head, a second shoulder, then a breakout. And price may target this resistance level up there. So I'll take it back to the 4 hour. But you can make your entry on 1 hour. It's not compulsory. You do it on 4 hour. This is inverse head and shoulder. I mean, it works both on the 4 and on the 1 hour. The choice of entry is actually yours. But there's a 1 hour side to it. Yeah, forget about the gap there to fill it up. Price will fill it up, drop and break out. Then we may target the next resistance level as a profit taking level. So we anticipate a move to the tune of about, let's just say roughly 40 pips. So we're looking at about 30 pips on NZD USD, 30 pips on AED USD, and 40 pips rather on NZD CAD, possibly in the course of today. So let's watch out for this movement in the market. And we're also bearish on the USD JPY on 4 hour and slightly bullish on 1 hour, depending on what happens between now and the release of the data by 2:15 p.m. All right, so that will be all from my end. I'm seeing some requests here, which I will quickly review as we round up. All right, Mr. Ekwe Ambassador is asking me to check GBP AUD, JAMU GBP JPY, and Mr. Collins Euro USD. All right, so let's start with the GBP AUD. All right, so for GBP AUD, the analysis is very valid. Like I said at the beginning of the week, looking out for a bullish breakout on the GBP AUD. Price is trending up on the weekly time frame, and it met a resistance on support. Technically, we're looking for an upside movement, and on 4 hour is a swing setup. Price is currently in a range. It's actually ranging around this area, but with time, we believe there will be a breakout to the upside. So the trend is still bullish, regardless of the range we're experiencing on the GBP AUD. GBP JPY is the next one. Now this is the GBP JPY on the daily time frame. Just a second. All right, so on the daily time frame, we can see the formation of a rising wedge pattern, and this is today's candle is forming what is looking like a rejection candle. This is an indication that possibly we may have a bullish movement on the GBP JPY. So let's confirm further by going to the 4 hour and 1 hour. Okay, on the 1 hour time frame, price is trying to form an inverse head and shoulder pattern. It may be going up today. We may be having a bullish movement on the GBP JPY today. So please take note of that for the person asking. And another confirmation to that is actually a reversal candlestick pattern here. That is the tweezer bottom on a trend line like this. So technically, we should be seeing an upside movement on the GBP JPY, and the price might likely hit this support turned resistance zone here. If the breakout happens, let me go back to the 1 hour. All right, we may see a retest now, a retest back to the trend line and a breakout to the resistance. So if price breaks out above this neckline region, that's that line I just drew, then potentially we can trigger a buy from that zone, and price may go and hit the resistance at least between 35 and let's just say 30 to 40 pips is possible on this GBP JPY setup. It's a bullish setup on GBP JPY. Please take note of that. Okay, Moisa is asking me to check gold, RM Spectra, US 30 and AED CHF. So let's do that. Now, I dropped a setup on gold, I think yesterday or 2 days ago. I said there was a symmetrical triangle on gold and price could break out on in either direction. Price broke out downwards yesterday and was able to drop to the tune of some 415 pips thereabouts. See, whenever you have a symmetrical triangle, there must be a breakout. So it's one of the simplest patterns to trade in the forex market. You can just watch out for it, on any time frame. The lowest should be like 15 minutes, 15 minutes, 30 minutes, 1 hour for intraday trading, and you see price breakout because price will be congested. It will end up in a consolidation around the tip, and from there could be a breakout to the upside or to the downside. If it breaks out upwards, you buy. If it breaks out downwards, you sell. So this analysis worked out just as it was given earlier in the week. So what's the next move of gold? Now on the daily time frame, gold closed yesterday on a support level. So we have a value support there on the daily time frame for gold yesterday. Now, since gold was able to hit that support yesterday, we might be looking out for some bullish movement on gold today. So today I'll be looking out for a breakout on gold on the 1 hour. So let's watch out for that in the course of today. And if the data from the US in the afternoon comes out bad for the dollar, then that will trigger the upside movement on gold. So we are bullish on gold today. We're only waiting for a breakout to the upside. RSI is already above 50. So it's gradually moving to the upside direction. But then we need a clear breakout above this trend line for us to trigger a buy. So we're bullish on gold. All right, so I'll check US 30 and AUDCHF. So this is AUDCHF. Okay, so this is one of the confluence setup I like to trade. It's still evolving though. Now, on the weekly time frame, let me remove this. Okay, let me start the analysis all over so that you get it. On the weekly time frame, price is in a downtrend. Price is trending down, making a series of lower high, lower high, a lower high. So technically, we're looking for a further continuation. And also, I think if we go down to the daily, on the daily time frame, we can also see that we have a valid resistance level here. So this point is actually a point of a confluence. So we have both the trend line and the resistance meeting at this point. So technically, we have a higher probability of a downtrend on the AUDCHF. So that's both from the weekly and the daily time frame. And on 4 hour, I can see a rising wedge. All right, so we have a rising wedge. That also points us to a downtrend. Then finally, I'm seeing the formation of a shoulder ahead, possibly a second shoulder, and now then we'll have a downtrend. Now there's also on the short term There's a possibility of an uptrend here, probably to hit that resistance, but that will not be the main focus. The main focus is the completion of the second shoulder, then we'll have the downtrend. This is actually a swing setup. I would say we're bearish on the NZDCHF. It's bearish on the 4 hour if all these conditions are met. Yeah, we'll be bearish on it. But then let me go down to 1 hour time frame. Okay. Yeah, we may, like I said, we may have a slight bullish movement, a retracement and a bull. But like I said, that will be short term. My main focus is on the big picture, which will be the swing. It's more of a swing setup. So we're bearish on the 4 hour and slightly bullish on the 1 hour, but the focus is actually the 4 hour. So that's that on the AUDCHF. Now US 30. I think I gave my outlook on US 30 yesterday. I said I was bullish on the US 30 and price eventually did go in the bullish direction on the US 30. US 30 is labeled as DJ30 on our platform. All right, so this is it. Yes, we had a bullish setup on US 30 yesterday, and I remember when we were having analysis, price was somewhere around here. Yeah, that was a sharp retracement there, but ultimately price, went up and hit Fibonacci 50 before, the downward or the range started. So let's check for today. So the analysis yesterday worked as planned. So what's happening to US 30 today or DJ 30 today? So this is DJ 30 on the daily time frame. Overall, the price is still in an uptrend. The overall trend is still bullish. But then currently price is trading around a resistance turned support. Resistance turned support. So technically we'll be looking for an upside movement on the DJ30 today. So that's the daily. Let's check the 4 hour. There's a range here. And let's go to the 1 hour. The 1 hour is not really giving a clear pattern in the real sense of it. But we can wait for a clear breakout above the trend line to trigger a buy. This is the resistance turned support here. I can't call this is not a double bottom, it's not a clear pattern in the real sense of it. But then with the fact that price is coming from a resistance turned support zone, we may have a breakout to the upside. Okay, so this makes it even more valid. We have a falling wedge pattern. All right. So on the daily time frame, we have a resistance on support. On 1 hour, we have a falling wedge. So we are waiting for a breakout to the upside. RSI is slightly above 50 at the moment, though we expect much more bigger movement on the RSI to trigger a buy. Once price is able to break out completely above that trend line up there, then we may look for a buy on the DJ30. And finally, just let me just make it a little more simpler. May have a slight a minor resistance here because of that shadow up there. So once price is able to break out above the resistance and above the trend line, yeah, you can trigger a buy on the DJ30. So we're bullish on the DJ30. Okay, so let me just run through. I'm seeing some comments dropped. Okay, I can't pronounce correctly. Is it EDE or AD? Pardon me. Let me read what you wrote. Is it valid to say that the dollar index has formed an inverse head and shoulder on weekly time frame and is currently trading at the neckline? All right, so let's check. All right, so this is the daily dollar index. Let's go to the weekly time frame. Okay, if you have to look at, let me clear off what I have here. If you have to look at it as an inverse head and shoulder, now there are some things about patterns. One, if a pattern is not too clear, just please ignore it. If it's not too clear, ignore it. But then let's assume for the sake of argument, we're looking at an inverse head and shoulder. That would be shoulder. This will be possibly a head. This will be a second shoulder. And I would say the neckline will be this region. Now, neckline doesn't have to always be horizontal. It can be slant like this. So if that's the case, price has actually broken out uh, above the neckline. It's broken out above that and it's trading around a resistance, which is what we are seeing currently on the daily time frame. This shadow tip here and the current candle is forming a resistance. So if you're seeing it as an inverse head and shoulder, the breakout already happened. So I hope that clarifies to the person asking. Okay, yeah, you even wrote it there. Just check the neckline has been broken up, but good. Okay, Mr. Collins, I'm here to analyze. You're welcome. You're here to analyze Euro USD. All right, so let's check that now. All right, so this is Euro USD. Now, I gave this analysis yesterday in the afternoon session. You can see I have a descending channel on the Euro USD. The price has been doing its lower high and lower low, lower high, lower low. And there's a possibility price may still go downwards, regardless of what is happening to the dollar. It all depends on market forces and market condition. I remember telling you yesterday that this area is a key level, which we checked from the weekly time frame, dating back to 2019 or so. Let's confirm again. You can see that price has always reacted on that particular level. This is 2021. This is 2020. Okay, let me make it from the monthly. Price has always reacted to that particular level. This was in can I still see it? Okay. There's a reaction here. There's a reaction here. This even passed to 2012, thereabout. So the current level where price is now, there has always been a reaction. If price, is retained at this level till the release of the data in the afternoon, you can see price is ranging around this current price level. If price stays on this level till the release of the data in the afternoon by 2:15 p.m., if the data comes out good for the dollar, or let me say if it comes out bad for the dollar, let's look at that scenario first. If the data comes out bad for the dollar, we may see a bullish movement on the Euro USD if the data comes out bad for the dollar. And that means that level, this current price level, is being respected. But otherwise, when I talked about the USDJPY too, I was on two sides. On the bigger long-term bearish, short-term bullish. The same thing I'm seeing on the Euro USD. Currently, this key level is acting as a support and price is ranging around it. So if the data comes out bad, it's enforced, price goes up. Now, if the data comes out good for the dollar, price will break this level and possibly come to test, complete this setup we're having here before we now have a breakout to the upside. So just like the USD we're having a short-term, possibly a short-term sell and a longer-term buy. The same thing we're seeing. The USD and the Euro USD, they are negatively correlated. So if one is buying, the other one will likely be selling. So that's the same thing I'm seeing on the Euro USD. Now you may ask me, but I thought price should be going in one direction at a point. Fine, it's possible. Don't forget that this is what we're trading is market forces, the forces of demand and supply. So it depends on how the market moves. That's what determines the next wave of movement. And like I said, we may have a breakout to the downside where we'll now have a confluence between the previous support on the daily and the lower trend line, which can now trigger a longer term buy. It all depends on the data. If the data in the afternoon comes out good, we will see a sell on Euro USD. If it comes out uh, bad for the dollar, we'll see a buy on the Euro USD. So we have a short term sell and a longer term buy. Those are the two scenarios we can anticipate on the Euro USD. The Techno-Common is descending triangle the same as falling wedge. Descending triangle. Technically, they are not exactly the same, but a falling wedge, can I cite one now? You know, sometimes some of these patterns you may get stuck on the name. So sometimes I tell my students, let your focus be on the direction. What is important is the direction. Which direction are they going? So either descending or falling wedge, they are both going in the bearish direction. Okay, so this is a falling wedge. This is not a descending triangle. A descending triangle, on the other hand, price, you know, price is ascending to hit a resistance and now break out. That's a descending triangle. But if okay, sorry, pardon me. A descending triangle, price will be selling. You know, the price is trending up. It hit a resistance. We have a triangle and we have a breakout downwards. But for a falling wedge, price is trending down in order to break out to the upside. So they are not exactly the same thing. They are not. For a falling wedge, it means that price is trending downwards in order to break out upwards. For a falling wedge, the direction of the trade is to buy, while for a descending triangle, price will be trending downwards for a sell. I can't cite one now, so I will have shown you. All right, so I think that's clear for Techno-Common. Okay, I've spent a lot of time today, even though I wanted to be a short session. But notwithstanding, I believe we've gotten one or two things, and we have, insight into what is to happen in the market in the course of the day. Now, if you're on the platform this morning, you don't have an account with PU Prime, you can go straight to our website and open a live trading account. Or better still, you can reach out to me privately. I can guide you on how to get started. So we'll be ending the analysis session this morning. Mr. Aaron Pecha, it's been a long time you've been on this platform. Would you mind to just send me a chat? I'd like to have some conversation with you. You may just send me a chat on my official PU Prime number. I'm coming. That is just a second. All right. So you may just send me a chat on +234 702 526 3604. That's strictly for Mr. RM Specha. It's been a long time pressing on this platform. All right, do send me a chat on that. Thank you so much. All right, so we're ending the analysis here. Take care and have a great day ahead. Bye-bye.
Doing, man. From there on, son. Bye bye.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome, sir. You're welcome, Madam Onaji.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, sir. Have a very
Very much.